Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York. In today's scene, we will be setting ourselves in the company of one Maebh Macfione, as she has been trotting around the sept, essentially pacing in big-ass circles, going place to place while my phone goes off. And ironically enough, or comically enough, doing so with something that looks vaguely like a plush, something white, just kind of hanging out in her mouth the whole time. She'll eventually come around. She has visited the Septart the day before, but there's no good reason not to visit again. And so she'll come around, snoop around, keep an eye out to the various areas, and noting Chase's hut. She'll, on complete impulse, deviate to check and see if he's there, if he's free, and as such will just come kind of trotting out of the brush, tuck the little unicorn plush that she's been carrying around off to the side of his hut just outside, because, well, that's just weird, going up to an elder with a stuffed animal. So she'll kind of tuck it off, give it a brief grooming lick, and then kind of tentatively approach the door and give a light scratch to the to the side of the hanging flap.
As Maeve decides to sort of brush against the flap, she will notice that when she goes to sort of brush against it, whereas she's been used to just the deer hide flapping back and forth, in this case, it no longer flaps back and forth. It feels like she is brushing against a solid door.
Does it still look like a simple flap?
Yes.
Well, that's new and different. She'll become intrigued by this and probably become at least a little bit distracted, and as such will leave off her pawing in favor of just kind of nudging a bit closer to the door, snuffling at it, nosing it, just trying to figure out if this is science, because she's pretty sure it's not.
There is an odd sound, sort of in between the noises of snuffling and light yipping.
I wish you could see the face I was making right now. Is there more than one voice in there? Just
Roll perception alertness.
oh goodness. Let me remember what it is real fast. Nope. Okay, that's what I thought. I know things.
It's just one voice.
Well, she's even more perplexed. Any particular smells coming out? Anything else odd to be noted besides the fact that this deer just became solid?
No. It just continues for a little while.
She'll distract herself with waffling at the door a bit, and then once it's obviously just outside of her grasp what the hell happened to this hide. So once she resolves that she doesn't know what the hell that is, she'll kind of back up a couple steps, twitch her ears around, trying to decide whether or not she's interrupting, and will eventually resolve to kind of scooch around to the side, not like around the back or anything, just kind of off to the side of the doorway a bit, and snatch her plush and settle down on her belly, tuck it between her paws, and just kind of rest her chin on it with the ears pricked towards the door in the expectant waiting pose to see if he comes out or responds in any way.
So you're just being quiet?
She's not trying to interrupt. Did she manage to make a scratching noise at all when she pawed?
There was a light scratching, but...
Oh, well then I will assume that as she continues to investigate, it will probably involve some pawing and some, essentially the type of scratching you'd expect a dog to do at the door. So she'll kind of scratch and snuffle, but...
Okay. At that point, you hear like sort of a swift intake of breath and then a sneeze, and there is what sounds like padding across the floor, and a nose pokes through the flap, which is now not solid.
The head just slowly eases into the tilt.
Go ahead, roll me perception empathy. Sleepy Wolf is sleepy.
She's just going to go all the way down onto her belly because she was just rude. And then roll herself over.
There's another dog equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
He licks his muzzle a couple of times, steps out of the hut, sits down. Yes. What can I do for you?
She'll, unless he gives some indication otherwise, we'll kind of ease onto her side first before going and getting back up, because she hasn't been given the usual nibble indicator. But she'll kind of roll onto her side and turn her muzzle up and set her ears back in a deferential fashion. Should I go?
Get up.
She'll scramble to her paws, sit on her haunches.
And he looks at you, and he noses over to the door, and he walks over, and he walks in.
She'll kind of balk instead of immediately rising, as she would normally do. And hopefully before he gets inside, because otherwise she's even more of a jerk. She'll kind of almost whimper it and be like, I can't.
What do you mean you can't?
My chiminage.
Huh? What
Until
image be that?
the blizzard, back when they assaulted the lab, I have to stay out in the elements until spring.
He sort of looks, and he tilts his head. Now, why'd you go and make a daft deal like that?
She kind of paws at her muzzle in a self-conscious fashion. I didn't want anyone to die. They said, and she's kind of struggling. I'm not portraying it well at the moment, but she's obviously struggling to string proper sentences together. They said I could have all of the Guardians pay the price. I didn't want to do that. And actually, since I haven't rolled it today, let's see how she's doing. Oh yeah, she's fine.
So, instead of thinking, and what did this spirit give you in return?
She's kind of got her tail tucked under her at this point, not like curled all the way up against her belly, but she's essentially sitting on it. And she'll kind of take a second, the gears kind of turn. When the blizzard came through, I asked it to change course and to wide out where we would be fighting so that there would be no enemies outside and so that the cameras would not catch us, because it would have been much harder to disable them another way. This way, they only had to worry about the inside. It was big.
He sort of scratches at one ear. I would have foregone fire for a moon.
That's part of it, too.
Oh, that's part of it.
She kind of ducks her head, because that's clear annoyance. I cannot go into places that would give me shelter. I cannot use fire or things to warm me that would melt the snow.
So, you're forbidden from your Hamid farm until spring.
I can use clothes, but I don't want to have 2 legs. I can use blankets. Lucas gives them to me. I eat hot food.
Do you have any notion of the idea of what haggling means?
And she shrinks just a little more. She's like slowly getting closer and closer to the ground. It was very, very big. And just a cub.
But it doesn't mean that just because something is bigger than you doesn't mean that you have to show your full hand to it. You start small in Shiminichi, girl. Start with Enosis. You don't give them your kingdom because they want to use your toilet. Do you understand?
Yes, Raya. It was my idea, but it set the length, and I have only ever made the deals on my own.
I'm not annoyed at you. It's a learning process. But it seems to me that you're very close to the day where your naivete can no longer be an excuse, Maeve.
I'm sorry. At the time, in exchange for keeping them safe, It was worth it to me.
Aye, I'm not saying it wasn't worth it. I'm not saying you did wrong. I'm saying you made a storm in a teacup. Do you understand?
She tilts her head. It is pretty obvious that she does not.
You made a... what's... Feckin' Hamid idioms.
Just use simple words. It's easier anyways.
Mountain molehill.
Ah. I will do better.
What's something that Hamid kin of mine keeps showing me on the telly. Work smarter, not harder.
She'll bob her muzzle.
So anyway, what is it that you were coming here for?
It's harder to think about now, but I went with Cinna to the Sept of the White Horse.
Oh, aye.
She'll preemptively deflate. They didn't like me much.
Why is that?
I'm not completely sure, but
Mom wants to talk to you.
Hold on. I'll
Yep.
be right back.
Yep. Well, in this intermission then, I will point viewers to the description below. In the spoiler, as it were, there is all of the information to play Living World of Darkness, a link to our Facebook group where we coordinate most of our play, a link to the forums where we do all of our record keeping. We are playing the Werewolf venue using, I believe, mostly W20 resources. We are playing Werewolf the Apocalypse, not Werewolf the Forsaken. We also host several other venues. Off the top of my head, Vampire, Changeling, Mage, and Demon. I believe there's also a Hunter venue, albeit it is a little low on the players. Anyone who's interested in joining us in our fabulous shenanigans is more than welcome to look below, click the link, come on over, make a character, have some funsies. It's good times. As you can see, the staff is fabulous. And now, elevator music. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. Oh, good. Who's chatting at me? And now we change it up. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Let's see, what else can we say about the venue? The werewolf venue is set in the Sept of the Green, a sept set in New York City. In fact, set in Central Park in New York City. The cairn itself rests inside, with the bawn extending all the way to the edges of the park. It is a bone gnawer sept that is patronized by the totems Great White Mouse and Chimera. Good times. Biting people is easy. Great White Mouse is awesome like that. Don't call him Rat. It makes him mad. This particular scene is between a pair of theurges, which are the spirit speakers, the mystics of the werewolf setting, I suppose. As far as classes go, these are the strongest magic users. Albeit with secondary skills, they can certainly be perfectly adept fighters or social monsters. Gotta have that influence. And I'm out of material. I'm just out. Back to Mario. Yes, doing the intermission dance. Thank you, Creeper, for creeping.
Sorry about that.
It's all good. Life is life. It happens. I had a lovely intermission. I sang the Mario song for most of it.
Okay. All right. So
he said, "Why don't they like you?"
Yes.
And her answer is essentially preemptive. Well, she already did the preemptive deflating. I think they expected me to be louder. They didn't like that I was there being me. Being calm.
Okay.
Following Senna.
How about this? Why don't you tell me exactly what happened?
All right, she obviously goes into a data recovery mode for a good hot second. She's having a much harder time than normal accessing all that, though given a bit of time to get everything straight, get it up to the front of her head where she can speak it readily, she will begin. Well, when we got there, the gatekeeper? She kind of tilts her head. I think that's the term. The one who was watching for the moon bridge. He was a metis. And he was nice enough. He responded really strongly to Senna and I, and then flipped over when I gave my name. And then when we asked to be led inside the sept, he led us there. Now, the problem is that they weren't very keen on him leading big-named visitors into the sept. They apologized. They started beating him. I did my best not to say anything, but Senna was not happy and not quiet. After we met the Alpha, who is a very nice man, very loud, hugged us so hard I thought he was going to break my ribs, but after we met him and talked some, we came back out, and Senna insisted on seeking out the Metis again to offer him one of our Gaia's breaths, since we were the reason he'd been beaten.
You see Chase's sort of flinch.
Yeah. So, of course, because we're such lucky people, the two guardians found us there. And again, Cinna was not happy and not quiet. And at first I managed to calm them down, say the right things. They went to leave. And then Cinna started talking again. And they came back. And one of them frenzied.
Mm-hmm.
So once he was pinned, it was a Silver Fang and a Fianna. The Silver Fang is the one who frenzied. Once he was pinned down, the Fianna said that she would be going to the Master of Challenges or going to someone. I don't remember. And I looked at her, and by then my temper was frayed. And I said, for what? Dealing with you attacking a bunch of cubs? And she challenged me. And
Mm-hmm.
I was willing to do this. I understand that that is the way things are done. But Cinna insisted that I let her fight for me because she was supposed to be my alpha and this was her right. And they said that the only way that they would allow it is if I rolled over. And I looked to Cinna. I asked her not to. They mentioned my bloodline. I told her I did not want to reflect poorly on that. But she nodded to me anyways, and she was my alpha. So I rolled over. And after the challenge, well, before the challenge, after that happened, they wouldn't even let me back into the Sept proper. I had to stay out on the Bond. After Cinna won, they let me in, but only when she was there. I later met the Guardians again and sparred one of them, challenged for the right to enter. I lost, but I fought. But I don't think I'm what they expected, and I do not blame you for being busy, but you and Travis are the only examples I have. And Travis, I mean, he's loud, but he doesn't come out much, and I don't know. He doesn't seem to be much different from anyone else. I don't see traits that I'm supposed to copy.
Well, how? How do you think Travis would have handled the situation?
You
No, keep in mind, I'm not talking about Sol Invictus, the Athro. I'm talking about Travis Moran
she
of
twitches her
Tribe
ears.
Fianna.
If someone challenged him, he would have leapt to it. It wouldn't have mattered what anyone had said.
Do you think he would have allowed, say, Blitzkrieg to fight for him? Or do you think he would have allowed, say, Logan to fight for him?
Well, no.
No. You deferred to Cinna, as she deserved, as it was her rite of passage. However, it wasn't her honor that they were challenging. It was yours.
It seems hard to know. The litany says, respect those higher in station. She was higher than me. I did as I was told.
Aye.
Why is that wrong?
The litany also says, respect those beneath thee.
She mentioned that. And they just quoted back that Guru shall not lay with Guru because, subject matter.
Right. But I'm not talking with regards to them. I'm talking with regards to you and Cinna. You should have reminded her that it was your honor being called into question, not ours.
I did. She told me to roll over anyways.
I'm no Philodox. I share your moon. But I'll be telling you right now, even if Morning Kill over there told me to roll over when my honor was being called into question, I'd tell him right where he could stick that order, and he knows it.
I'm worried about it. They said they would send word.
Send word to who?
The Ardrai.
Of what? Exactly.
That according to them, I was no better than an Omega and was a disgrace to my bloodline.
That's not for them to decide. And I hope you pinned our ears back for saying that.
There wasn't much I could do in the name of hospitality, Raya. Though they didn't adhere to it themselves, they threatened to keep us there when they found out who Cinna was. I reminded the Alpha, who was Fianna, of hospitality. It was our second day there. The truth speaker backhanded me for it. Or, truth catcher.
Because it's not your place to call into question status quo, girl.
She just kind of pants in frustration. When am I supposed to challenge and not challenge these things? That doesn't make any sense.
It's a very complicated system. And at times it doesn't make sense. And at times it's the most logical thing that you can think of. However, they, in their own way, were testing Cinna.
I think it's worse than that. It was Gleaming Eye. I think they plan to come here and come after her. They plan to come after Morning Kill. They threatened her parents.
And that is a Silver Fang matter. And it will be dealt with by Silver Fangs.
I also think they're going to siege that sept. The Alpha was very worried. Well, he meant to fight, obviously, but he said that that is what would happen. He said he was going to go back to his homeland. He was going to gather his people and gather the Get.
And siege what sept?
The Sept of the White Horse. It was a shared Silver Fang and Fianna sept, and apparently the Silver Fangs were running it, for all that the Alpha was Fianna. They're the ones who made the threats.
And indeed. Have either of you told Morningkill about this?
I assume that Cinna has. I haven't been thinking very well. Right after we got back, we got off one moon bridge and onto the next and went to Wolfholm.
Wolfholm. I heard about that.
And she'll take up just the most piteous expression and body language that you can conjure up, really. And just kind of sputter that China's still there.
Is he now?
I think he and I were the last two, and we got separated. And I was able to leave. I knew that he had escaped the zoo. I thought he was safe, but I came back and he wasn't here.
Could be that he's not safe. Could be he's still stuck there. No one's gonna save him from that place, except himself.
Nobody can go back? Nobody can pull him out?
You don't understand.
I understand how we got out, but Miss Whisper said in the very beginning that the only reasons to go there were for punishment, or because you got lost, or because you were trying to recover someone who got sent there.
Right. However, were you to interrupt his journey into Wolfholm, how to explain this?
I'm sorry, Raya, but he is like packed to me, and I left him alone.
Sometimes a wolf sometimes a wolf has to fall into the lake before he learns how he can trust the ice.
That actually goes over perfectly. It makes perfect sense to her. It's a good metaphor. And she'll bob her head a bit. She doesn't look happy about it, but she certainly understands.
Going to save Chino would be the last resort. And right now, whether or not we're at that point would be up to Teeth and Miss Whisper. It wouldn't be up to you, lass.
There's a flitting kind of, not challenging, but kind of stubborn bristle. It's there and then it's gone, but...
Oh. Is there anything else?
I just want to know that when my passage comes, even if I do what I must do, I want to know that Stag will take me.
Do you want Stag to take you?
She kind of blinks. I understand that it's my choice, but this is what I'm supposed to do.
Is it no? And why would you be thinking that?
And she'll sit herself up all prim and pretty and without any of the gusto that should be behind it, say, because I am a Macfion. And that is what they will expect of me.
Because because you're Macfion.
Everyone tells me it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Wouldn't it be a bigger deal if I was a Macfion and I was taken by another totem?
Why would you be thinking that?
And she has to kind of cast around for the thoughts to string together.
Sure. There'd be a bit of a scandal. There'd be questions on whether or not you intentionally sought to dishonor your uncle. But these questions, these aren't questions of these questions are for those that have nothing better to do than ask those types of questions. Do you understand?
I do. I just...
In what way do you think your uncle, being the Eye, would care more for the fact that you are alive? No, wait. That's the wrong way to... I hate complex composition. Okay. Why do you think he would care more for you if you were Fiona rather than if you were of a different tribe and yet still able to fight the worm and be one of Gaia's children? Why? How?
I can be a theurge. I can be a good theurge. Regardless. It doesn't change that.
Mm-hmm.
But the expectation is there, and...
Of course the expectation is there.
I have...
But does that lessen you? Does that make you less of a guru?
Well,
Not. No. Does it make you less of a theurge?
No.
Does it make you less than the daft wolf that's sitting in front of me right now?
I'm just gonna kind of... By now she's probably essentially laying on the ground, back down on her belly. I'm still me, regardless. I want him to be... I want him to be proud of me. I don't want to be less than he expects. I don't want to be less than you expect. Everyone expects me to be Fiona.
Did I say I expect you to be Fiona?
Well, no. But I
Has
feel like
Travis said that he expects you to be Fiona?
he already seems to think of me as Fiona,
'Cause he
but
does. Your family.
would I still be family?
Why wouldn't you be? You said it yourself. Chino, you think of as already a pack mate. Even though you're both cubs. Even though you have ne'er a totem to call between you.
Him and Lucas. They are packed to me. Whether or not we have a totem.
And do you think you'd be any less welcome by me or Travis if you didn't follow Stag?
She'll just kind of look ashamed of herself for a second instead of directly answering.
Do you think that less of us?
I have only seen you a few times. Travis does not speak to me much. It's the only thing that connects us together. Besides being Theurges.
And you would say that you would assume that we are as capricious with family ties.
No. It just... I thought it would be considered turning my back on it.
Why? Are you not fighting the war? Are you not providing a link between your fellow Guru and the spirits? You're confusing obligation with duty. Because of who you are, you have a duty to try your best. You do not have an obligation to ruin yourself because of it.
I thought that maybe if I had spent my time trying harder to find Stag than I did to find the doves and to see the unicorn, that I would have done better. But I don't know where to start. I don't know much about Stag. I know the same things I know about unicorn. I know what is attributed to them in stories.
What do you think the most important part of being a Fiona is?
She gets kind of caught up short on that. The most that I had felt was the link to family, more than the rest. I know there's more, but I don't know much about it. I haven't been able to go inside to find the books that you've offered me. I haven't been able to read them even for a while, but I've been trying. I started small, like I did with the doves. I visit the rabbits. I have even done deals with Rabbit, but I have never gone any higher.
The greatest and most important part of being a Fianna is protecting what's yours.
She visibly relaxes, actually.
That is the simplest way that I can put it. It is a guardianship of everything that you hold dear. Your honor, your family, your strength.
And she'll start shuffling herself back up into a sit.
You know, there's a reason why Stag is known as the guardian of the forest. It's caretaker.
And she'll nod. She's again got kind of her thinking face on, but she's nodding and understanding.
No. It's a homeward tale. It's an ancient story known to a few hominids, both Garou and mortal.
And her ears prick forward very attentively.
The Lupus Barn would say that they already knew this story. Knew this story because it follows the way of the world. But I think that's codswallop. In all things, there must be balance.
Yes.
There must be a balance between tenacity and reservation, ferocity, fidelity. A long time ago, before, you'll find that several of our kind, of your hopeful tribe, those hominids, quite some years ago, but not too far that it's so distant in memory, were once part of a conflict. They killed each other and fought with each other over whose version of the bearded man in the sky was better. Way before that time, all people of the Isles, great and small, used to worship older gods, older spirits. Some say it's the reason why the Fianna has such a tie to the Fae. Because indeed did these humans worship the Tuatha De Danann.
She's nodding along.
The children of Danu, who brought this world to life with her voice and nothing more. Danu had a child once with a mortal. She was a girl, not unlike yourself. Red hair, green eyes, a swiftness about her mind, and a sureness in her limbs. She was known to many as Fliddish.
Like it's a slight cant of head, but she's marking it.
And he'll take a moment, he'll pat around, say this tale in particular would be better served with a mortal tongue. And he shifts slowly into his Hamid form. He kneels down. Crosses his legs and looks at you. No, as I said, Fliddish was quick of mind, sure of body. See, the ancient Celts, the residents of the Isles, they didn't like their women demure and wanting. For they knew that for every hunter, there was a huntress equally as potent as he, if not more so, in more ways than one. Fliddish grew into one such warrior, a huntress, a maiden of the wild. Whether or not she was one of them fairies that make Manhattan their home, I don't really know. And I don't really care to find out. However, it was always known that she was better. Because she was better. She was expected to always be better. During her mortal life, there were many tribes within the islands. There were many clans who called that land their home, laid claim to it. As foolish as that sounds, to lay claim to a piece of land that was still in its infancy. But they did, and they had their own ways of making rulers. One such ruler known as Fergus the Rook, or Fergus Rook, however you want to say it, was the head of one of the bigger clans, one of the biggest clans. And he was needing a wife. Someone that could take what he could dish out. And Chase sort of chuckles at that. And turn it right back in his face. He wanted a partner. within the clan, there were known to be 7 maidens that were just as good as he. At least believe so. And all of them made their presence known to him. There was a 3-day festival that would end in a wedding that would see Fergus and his wife, his partner, join hands. But in every way that he tested them, that they tested themselves, they failed. Even though they did their best. They did everything that they could. And it was on the final day that Flittish came in from her hunting. She didn't necessarily know what all the chaos in the Falderall was about. But what she did see was a test. Something that she viewed as hers. And what she viewed as hers was that clan. So on the final day, she strode forward and she challenged all 7 of the maidens to beat her in any way that they knew how. And each one of them did. In one way or another. Each one of them was stronger than her. One of them was quicker than her. One of them could sing better than she could. But again, in every way, there was something that Flittish could do better than they. Something that they, the 7 maidens, could never do greater than Fergus. What those 7 things are, no one really knows. But what the stories do say, and I apologize, I'm no Galliard, is that Fergus saw those 7 things as the greatest aspects of his own life. And so on the final day, he bade the 7 maidens go back to their family, and he married Flittish. Or rather, Flittish chose to marry him instead.
She kind of gapes her jaw a bit and does essentially the doggy grin sort of thing.
As I said, I'm no Galliard. I can't really say
I
it
like your stories.
more plainly than that. But I hope my message is clear.
It is, Raya. And I'm not as worried as I thought I was.
If you see Stag as yours, if you see being in tribe Fiona as yours, then because of who you are, you have a duty to go after it with everything that you have.
She's
That
brightened up pretty well.
is what it means to be Fiona. Not doing that is the only way that at least this stage believes that you could fail Stag.
She gives her muzzle a firm bob and kind of leans into lap, not actually lick his face, but will essentially lap in the direction of his chin in a kind of puppyish gesture of thanks.
Now the test is going to be hard. Because you're right. Much is expected of you. After all, it could be that you have a direct link to a person such as Flittish herself.
She swells up a little bit at the notion alone.
See? It's gonna be hard. I don't think I've ever explained to you what your rite of passage will be.
No. Is it something you are able to tell me before it happens?
I can tell you what it will be, or what it will entail. I cannot tell you what it is.
She tilts her head a bit at the distinction.
You'll have 3 main tests. And if you fail one, you fail it all. You'll have a test of wisdom. You'll have a test of luck. And you'll have a test of skill.
Her ears begin to kind of pitch and swivel thoughtfully as she rolls the 3 words around and tries to kind of guess her way into how best to prepare.
That's all I can tell you.
If whatever they are, I will do them. I will do everything I can. I will give it everything I have. But if that somehow is not enough, is that it? Is it one try?
No, that's a hard thing to say. Keep in mind, could be Gaia's plan that you were never meant to be within the Fianna tribe. Could be Gaia's plan that you were never meant to follow Stag, that you were only meant to know him. Ask yourself, were you to fail after trying all of your best? Where else would you go?
I know that others would have me. They tease me about it. Because I'm not loud, everyone thinks that... Well, they don't say, but I'm sure they all think that I should go to Unicorn.
They tease you about going to Unicorn.
Well, they tease me about taking anything, really. They jokingly say that I could go almost anywhere I wanted. But while maybe I don't posture as much as most other Fianna, maybe I'm not as loud.
You have to start standing up for yourself, lass.
They are only words.
They are only words. But it doesn't mean they should be aimed in your direction.
I have gotten better. When Chino comes back, I will be better again. He has taught me a lot about holding my ground, about having the confidence, regardless of the situation, to stand for something.
And boxing someone in the ears every now and again is a good way to remind them not to fuck with you.
You can't smirk in Lupus, really, but it'll be a kind of sly expression.
Do me a favor. I know Lucas is a good friend of yours. I know he passed his rite of passage.
Yes.
I know Unicorn welcomed him.
Yes.
Do me a favor. And this is going to be hard.
I will do it.
Stay away from him, lass.
She suddenly... It's an array of emotions so dramatic that the most pointed part of it is probably her bristling.
They're using him as a security blanket. And he's gonna look over at the stuffed animal. And what exactly is this stuffed animal?
It's a little stuffed unicorn. It's one of Lucas's collection. It's something that she's been carrying around because he's constantly going where she can't be in Lupus. And it smells like him. And she's been clingy as hell ever since Wolf Home.
That right there.
She'll look over her shoulder at it. That is new.
Hmm.
That is because of Wolf Home.
Right.
I will give it back to him.
Good.
Opinions have been expressed.
Say a dog can't bark, and the next time he does, he'll prove you right fucking wrong.
Yep.
All right. I know it's hard. Like I said before, doesn't mean you can't be friends with him.
He
But-
is as good as family to me, Raya. He's
Do
my
you-
brother.
Family's important. But knowing who you are and what you're capable of by yourself will serve you better. Especially coming up to your rite of passage. Because he won't be there for you.
I understand what you mean. It will be hard.
I'm not saying ignore him. Not saying you're forbidden from being with him. But the spirits in my service describe you more as his shadow than the one on the ground at his feet.
She'll mull that over for a second.
You can't
I
go
understand.
living. You can't go living your life as someone else's shadow. And that was your mistake at the sept. And that is the mistake you make, letting him tell you what to do. You need a partner.
Not a leader.
I didn't say not a leader. Leaders have their own. Leaders come and go. Partners. True packmates are always there.
Thank you, Raya.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
And she'll In what's kind of become a habit, will being comfortable, pick up a foot and kind of start grooming at it. It's the same sort of worrying you'd expect if she had a thorn in her paw or some sort of injury or soreness, but she looks fine. She just can't seem to resist grooming her paw at the moment. Not when she's in a better mindset. When I finish in spring on the equinox, when my ban is over, will you teach me the rite that is on your fire?
Hmm? What do you mean?
There, I've seen it, is a rite. Well, yours is probably bigger, but a rite where you can make a fire and it warms an area. It keeps the people inside it comfortable. It seems only right to celebrate the change of winter to spring by learning this.
Sure. I'll teach it to you. The day you become a Cleath.
She'll do the kind of gape-mouthed grin type thing. Definitely not a snarl. Definitely a playful expression. I thought when I was Cleath I got to learn to summon things.
That's who. No. Yeah, sorry. Brain fart.
That'll happen.
No. Is there anything else?
No, you have made it clearer. I thought that there was something complex, something important that I was missing. But the things that are important are the things that I already believe are important.
Good.
I just need to learn to stand on my 2 feet.
Or
4
4.
feet. I prefer 4 at the moment. I think I'll prefer 4 for a little while still.
The coat is warm.
The coat is warm and, well, Wolfholm seems to teach you a lot more than how to get in touch with your wolf. I don't want anything to look at me and feel the way that I felt when I was looking at them there.
All right then. Now off with you. I have duties to attend to.
And she'll again kind of slink in to lap idly at in the direction of like his chin and his jawline, and then whip around and snag the plush and take off fairly quickly because she has been dismissed.
And he will say again, remember, I'll teach it to you the day you become a Cleath.
And around a mouthful of plushie, she's going to respond, it's not going to be that long.
Good. Go ahead. Roll me wits enigmas really quick.
Oh, absolutely. Do. And it's what, a -1 difficulty from Chimera?
I think so.
Thought I had more dots in that combo. Oh, why? Dice Stream hates me deeply.
And as we end this scene, look together on the fact that in Chase's last words, there was something suspiciously missing. On the day you become a Cleoth,
Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, creepers, for creeping. I saw you. And we'll see you next time on another episode of Living World of Darkness, Rage Across New York.